board. Oh my goodness, I'm seriously so excited. And I know y'all are because you guys have been asking for Kayla for a while. Kayla, you're kind of famous on my team. I mean, they love the stuff. So she needs no introduction. Kayla Sykes is one of my best friends. I absolutely adore her. And I love just being able to see someone completely blossom when they finally believe in themselves enough to really go after it and be honest with themselves. And I take that out of context, which she said before, that's the total game changer for her. And that's what really she's going to be talking about, is that shift in her mindset where, it was no longer just if she was going to do this or when she was going to do this. And she made the decision. And I absolutely adore her. She's amazing. She's the Tennessee to my Georgia. And, she's hit Success Club every single month of her business. She is a 5-star Diamond Elite coach for the first time. And she is just amazing, the sweetest soul in the entire world. And I'm going to let her go ahead and take it off. And there will be time for questions at the end. So make sure you guys start thinking about all the questions because y'all get her once. All right.
Okay, guys, thank y'all so much for, whoa, hello, for jumping on. I really appreciate it. And, quite honestly, I would rather I want to share with you guys my story, a little bit more about me, just so you can kind of see, because I feel that, when we see someone who is this, having success in their business, I know when I used to look at people and they were elite coach or premier or, 2-star and so on and so forth. They had it. They were born with it, and what it is, I don't know. Right. But I want to take it back to and way back. I want to go back to 1987, way back. So for me, that's when I was born. And I actually was born with something that could potentially affect my life in one way or another. I had club feet, which, long story short, when you're born with club feet, your feet are like this. I promise there's a reason why I'm talking about this. So your feet are turned inward. And so I had to, right off the bat, had to have, surgery as an infant. And basically they told my mom if they weren't able to correct this situation, that I would not be able to walk later on in life. And so I, was in dance when I was a child and stuff to help. It was very therapeutic for my feet and my ankles and whatnot, but I was also super self-conscious of my feet. And as I've gotten older, it's become harder, to walk for long periods of time and all of the things. And so the whole reason why I'm saying this is everyone goes through something. Everyone, has something, in their closet that they've dealt with, they've had to overcome and whatever. No one gets to the top of the mountain with, just ease. Right. And so let's see, let me get back to, let's talk about where I started out with fitness and stuff, because I feel that, sometimes we just assume we've got to have this, some type of knowledge, when it comes to nutrition and wellness and all the things. And so when I first got into fitness, I was 19 years old. My boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, went to the gym, drugged me along to the gym. And I was one of those cardio, queens. I was always oh, there's an elliptical. That means I'm going to go on there and, really, really do it big and have all these results. And I never did, but I was the type of person who just wanted a quick fix. I wanted, just something to just drop the weight. I was tired of being chunky, and I'd always been kind of the chunkier type of person. I have the round cheeks and the bigger legs and stuff from dance and whatnot. And I just wanted to be skinny. That's all I wanted. I wanted to be skinny and whatever, it is what it is. We think we're going to be happier when I'm skinny, happier with this, that, so on. And so I, did the gym for a little bit. I, experimented with diet pills and fat burners and all these quick fixes and just all of these things that never helped, right? I remember I took some diet pills and I lost 30 pounds in a month and a half time. And I was whoa, this is cool, but this is kind of weird at the same time. Like, I did it so unhealthy that I didn't have anything to like be proud about. I really wasn't proud. I didn't feel different. I didn't feel happier. But I just, whatever. So I was, we'll fast forward a little bit to when I was preparing for my wedding, and I had a personal trainer who was actually my sister-in-law at the time. And she was one of those personal trainers that was very like restrictive, very by the book. Like, you have to cut out sugars, you have to do all that, basically just be miserable, in my opinion. And so I did that for a little bit, with her. I worked out with her 5 days a week, an hour at least at a time. And I just thought, I'm going to be super happy and, whatever, just feel so proud on my wedding day. And guys, fast forward to the wedding day, I wasn't any happier than before. Like, I didn't have this sense of, yeah, I feel great, what I realized is let me share this too. So I had come back from my honeymoon. My coworkers had like this big potluck. And, here in the South, we celebrate with food and like the good country, like, Southern fried foods. And I was already battling in my head guilt. I hadn't even taken my lunch break yet. I was like up here, like thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm going to ruin all the progress I've had. I haven't had, really good food in a long time, except for on the honeymoon. But like, I was like, I should just go home for lunch. I should just dodge it completely, but then I was like, well, I don't want to piss off my coworkers and I don't want to like offend them and this and that. I finally just stayed. And that first plate of real good food turned into 2. And then that cookie turned into 5. And that was a very pivotal moment for me. I didn't have an issue with like working out and stuff. It was food. I had a crappy relationship with food. I was either guilty because I was, eating stuff, and then pissed because I had just ate the thing. Like, it was just such a mind mess, right? So I, a couple years went down the road, and I ended up hiring a personal trainer. And y'all, like, I don't know if you've ever had a personal trainer, like aside from Beachbody On Demand, but like, they are expensive. I was going to her 3 times a week for 30 minutes at a time. I was dropping $25 each session. So that's what? I don't math. So maybe, I don't know, whatever, 25 times 3. I don't know. You guys can do the math. But either way, for a month time, like, it was so much more than what a challenge pack is. Okay. And so I just like look back, I'm like, I don't know how the heck I did it, but I did it. I loved being told, what to do and how to do things, and just guidance. And then she had invited me to her boot camp class. And that's where I really fell in love. I loved it because I loved the community piece of it all. I liked that my body was being shocked. I was seeing great results because I was doing like high intensity workouts. And I was like, this is it. This is my thing. This is like what I'm going to continue doing forever and ever. And, I wanted to start getting healthy at that point because I felt that, Joey and I had been married for, almost 5 years. And it was like, well, I guess we'll start trying to have a child, and I was 26 or so at the time, or 27. And, my mom actually had situations where, I have 2 sisters, and there's such an age gap between myself and my next sister, Macy. She's 23. We're 8.5 years apart. And the reason why is because she dealt with a lot of like infertility and miscarriages and all of that type of stuff during, that. And I was like, well, if I do happen to go through that, like, I don't want to wait too soon to start trying to have a family and then like us never, end up being able to have a family. Like, I was already, thinking like the worst. So we started trying to have a child in September 2014. I had learned in January of 2015 that I was pregnant. And I would soon learn at my first appointment that I went to that I had miscarried. There was not a heartbeat. And, really I was numb at that point. It didn't really like phase me what had just happened. I was so consumed with our current situation. We were building a home. We were trying to find a temporary living arrangement for 6 weeks that would take a dog. And a lot of places around here do like 12-month leases. I meant 6-month lease. So I was super stressed, and, on top of everything else that was going on. And so I remember I went back, I decided to just let my body do what it was meant to do and, not have a procedure done. And, I ended up having to have a procedure done because I went back to be checked and they were like, your body didn't do what it needed to do. It didn't, rid itself of this. And so you're going to have, a DNC procedure. And that really I was like, I felt like I was doing something wrong. Like, I don't know why, but I remember going into that doctor that day. And it was like, just so surreal. I felt like I was doing something wrong. And that's when it hit me what had happened. And that was like several months later, but everyone handles it differently, of course. So I continued after that, working out and stuff at my nutrition at that point. Like I was better in 2014, being more, cautious about food and alcohol and stuff. That I was just like, YOLO, like we're gonna, live life and enjoy. And, I can just continue going to these classes, but I'm just not going to really pay attention to my nutrition because, it works that way. Right. So at this time I started following, our coach, Ashley, and I like to say I was a stage 5 stalker at that point. But I just really was intrigued by her and, what she was doing and just the fact that she was doing workouts from home and stuff. I was like, yeah, not me. Like I'll never be able to, do workouts from home. I never had success. I didn't have enough motivation, all of those things, all those excuses. And so we ended up trying to have, children again, in September of 2015. And then in January of 2016, I learned there was not just one heartbeat, there was 2 heartbeats. And so I kind of like to look at it as it was just God's way of saying, hey, here's your shot at having, your first baby. So that's how I look at it. So I have 2, incredibly healthy 3.5-year-olds that are currently running around outside my room crazy, trying to potty train them and all that stuff that you do with toddlers. But, after during my pregnancy, I was like so ready. Like I'm not the type that enjoys pregnancy. It's just not something that I'm just like, oh my gosh, I feel so good. I didn't like that I didn't have control over my body. And I was so ready to get to working out again. And I remember being released at 6 weeks postpartum to start working out. And I was like, boom, I'm going to my class, my boot camp class tonight, and I'm doing it, and man, was that a humbling experience, like getting back into the groove of things or trying to get back into the groove of things. When your core is not very strong and you're jumping around, like you got to pee all over yourself. Like it just doesn't work like it used to. But I continued going, and I remember my vertigo started flaring up real bad one class, like to the point where my friend had to drive me home. It was so scary. Like things are just so different postpartum. But I loved it. I took 3 months maternity leave. I was working at a local credit union here in Tennessee, and I was just milking that maternity leave. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I was able to take the kids with me to the class because, they were infants. They could just sit in their seats and whatever. There wasn't childcare per se, but we made do. And so I remember going back to work and I was like, how am I going to make these classes? Like I could no longer make my 5 a.m. classes. I could no longer, really go at night because it's like the kids, I don't see them enough as it is. So like, it's hard, So I decided to reach out to Ashley, and I'm one of the ones who actually didn't start as a discount coach. I wanted to get into it and work the business. I wanted to help people. I loved the concept of this coaching thing. And I just wanted to do that, and so I ended up signing up with her in March of 2017. And, I said I was a runner, but back then I was not a runner. Like I was so cute at that age. Like I wasn't running with the business. I was just doing the bare minimum, really. I hit Success Club my first month. By just 3 enrollments or whatever, and then I missed it my second month, and then I got it my third month. But I like to tell my girls, like I wasn't even a success starter. I didn't even achieve that in my business. And so after that first month of not hitting success starter, I was like, oh hell no, we're not doing that again. I didn't like the feeling of not achieving it after I did it at least the first time. So I continued to, hit Success Club and everything. Um, and so, I remember in the beginning of 2018, I had achieved, I'd never been one to hit like super high Success Club numbers, but in January of 2018 is when I hit like Success Club 18 or something, which was like the highest I'd ever achieved. And I was like, yeah, we're going for it. Like Success Club 10 or bust every month. I want to be a Success Club 10 all-star, and, I want to do this, I want to do that. Like I started to believe in myself because I had just achieved something to me so simple. But that's what really started it. And at that point, I was still an Emerald coach. Like I wasn't a diamond or anything like that. In fact, I didn't achieve Emerald until 6 months into my business. Allie, you probably don't even know this, but like I did not understand like the whole enrolling coaches. I was like terrified to offer people the opportunity. Why? I don't know. But I thought that everybody under me had to be a true working coach. So I just like didn't ask. I was enrolling customers left and right, like nobody's business. But like with the coach thing, I was so afraid to ask, which is stupid. Like I would want to know if I could save some money, so, whatever. But so oh gosh, I guess it was like March 2018 is when Allie and I actually, started talking and stuff. We linked up through a group text. We were pushing for Superstar Diamond. And, none of us were diamonds or anything at that point. So we were trying to get to diamond. And what was cool was the power of that group text, like seeing people checking in, and not necessarily like letting myself compare myself to them. Like Allie achieved diamond before I did. And I had been in the business for a while. It took me a few weeks longer, but like, I didn't see it as, oh, she's doing that. I was just like, no, if she can do it, so can I. So like, I kept grinding and kept doing it. Like, that's the cool thing about this business. You don't have to do this alone, and don't do it alone. Like if you are a type that's like, it's either we do it together or I don't, like reach out for help, ask for help, like join, link up with people in your team. And so, I achieved diamond a year into my business. Should not have taken that long, but it did, And so, I really had a mindset shift at that point. I was like, okay, like I'm doing a lot more, this year than I was last year. And I started to believe in myself. Like I was like, I guess we're really doing this, like I'm going to believe, I'm going to trust that I can do this. And so I just continue to push forward. And so I remember that year, 2018, my why was more about being able to come home and work coaching full time and be home with my children, because I felt that I did not have this glorious bond that you see all of these women talk about on social media, that they have this bond with their children. I didn't breastfeed. I didn't have that connection with my kids. And so I was like, maybe that will help us have a better connection, so I was so determined to be able to do this full time. And so I would work, I worked a normal 8 to 5 job. I was a trainer at the credit union. And so I would work while I was drinking my pre-workout in the morning. I'm more of a morning worker outer. And so I would, work in power pockets, and I would do a little bit here. And then I would work a little bit, before we left the house to take them to daycare, or before I left the house to take them to daycare. And I would work on my lunch break. I thrived in my lunch break. Let me tell you, I miss having an uninterrupted lunch break like nobody's business. And so I used to do things on my lunch break. I would heat up my food, go out to my car. And I want to go back to the 2018 thing, right as I was leading up to Diamond. Guys, if you have not followed a program or decided to follow a program, I highly encourage you to. I did my first round of 80-day obsession in the, February of 2018. And I treated it just like, it was just a diary. I treated Instagram and Facebook like a diary. I shared daily about everything I was doing in with that group or that program, what I was experiencing, the highs, the lows, like they literally were, a diary for me. And day 80, when I was boo-hooing, like mascara running down my face, like ugly crying, Instagram saw it first. Everybody, they saw it first, but they got to witness the emotions I felt when I finished that program. I followed the nutrition almost to a T, you know, and I did it, went all in more than I ever have before. And I saw some great results. And that was such a big contributor in my success that year, because it was like at that time I was pushing for diamond, and people were also coincidentally watching me do this incredible program and like letting it change me and just completely do a 180. So programs can change your business. If you haven't jumped into one, or if you're scared to jump into one of the harder ones, do it anyways. Rip off the Band-Aid and go for it. Believe in yourself, because that 80-day obsession program is really what just showed me how capable I am in life, period. Not just in fitness, not just in nutrition, but how capable I am up here. Getting up at 3:45 in the morning to make sure I got my meal in, you know, and get my hour workout in, and then get ready for the day, get the kids ready for the day, and go to work. Like, I made it happen. And if I can do it then, I can do anything now. So it's just like, it serves such incredible purpose when you allow it to just change you. So, you know, I've talked to people that are like, I'm scared to do the work. I'm like, no, go do the work. Do it. It's not that, you know, yeah, it's going to be tough, but you can do it. Like, just modify if you need to, you know, like, you got this. So anywho, you know, that whole year, 2018, I was just really pushing for, you know, being able to come home. And so in February of 2019 is when my first working coach, yeah, I said it, first working coach, came around. Like, for the whole time, I didn't really have people that were hitting Success Club or even enrolling people. They claimed to be working coaches, but they weren't really sharing consistently on social media, and they weren't really actively inviting. So like, it took me a while to find my people. My first working coach happened to be my first diamond. But during this time of 2019, I just had this moment like, it's time. It's time to put in my notice at the credit union. It's time to try and do this and see what happens. And this was a very risky move, because like, we had my insurance, we had my 401k, and it was an incredible organization. I did not hate my job. I did not hate my boss. I had incredible leadership. It was because I was ready for something more. I was ready for something to really force me to level up and force me to get out of my comfort zone even more than I had already been. And I just have this passion. I love this business. I love connecting with women, and I love, you know, helping women. It's just so rewarding when you have people thanking you for making a difference in their lives. It's just so cool. And so I gave my notice, and I remember 6 weeks later, I gave them like a really long notice. But I remember I wanted to like vomit. I was like, bleh, like, what did I just do? And then that whole 6 weeks, I just felt really at peace. And then I left the day I left that job, I remember I drove away and I was crying. I was like, what did I just do? What am I doing? The girl who never took a risk finally took a chance on herself. Like, truly took a chance on herself. I want to share with y'all, I still had that one working coach. I was not 1-star diamond yet until I achieved 1-star like a few weeks before my last day. I wasn't making like crazy amounts of money at that point. I just believed. I was like, what if? What if this is the thing that could open up so many other doors? I won't know until I try. And so, you know, it was just crazy. So I ended up, you know, working full time, and working this business is such an adjustment. Like, I do miss my schedule and my structure, from the corporate world, because my kids are home with me. Like, it didn't make sense to keep them in daycare, you know, paying $1,200 a month for them to stay in daycare. So they're here at the house, and it's challenging, and you just find what works. And sometimes you have to move things around. But in August of 2019 is when I hit, 2-star. And then I'll be honest, I didn't know a thing about how to get to elite. I didn't know about premier. I didn't know about any of the stuff. anything that I achieved so far was team builder. I had not gone any further in that ladder. But that's the thing. I didn't know anything about anything. I just did the fundamentals. And then come to find out, I had enough leadership points in September for elite. I just happened to scroll through the road to elite thing, like, well, let's see what's going on in here. And I was just like, holy crap, like what happened, you know? And that's just, I'm glad I did it the way I did, because I feel like if you feel like you have to know every little thing, like you have to know what it takes to get there, then like for me personally, like I would have just been so like, I would not have achieved what I achieved last year without just going rogue and just, you know, doing the fundamentals of this business, hitting Success Club, helping your coaches hit Success Club, and just enrolling people and leading them as best as you can. So I want to share a little bit about how all that went down, and more about the girls that helped us get to that stage, because, you know, it's just crazy how it happened. And so the Krista, who was my first diamond ever, she was one of the diamonds, of course. And then I had Shelby Krager, who achieved diamond shortly after she had enrolled as a coach. And so I had those two. And then I was like, okay, like who's going to help us get to elite, you know, because I learned I had those points, and I was like, I've got to push for this now. Like we're too close. And so what happened is I had two girls who were supposed to be the ones to help. They quit. One of them didn't even tell me, and one of them told me. And I was just like, well, this is it. You know, this isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen. It wasn't meant, you know, it wasn't in the cards. And I remember my sister at that point was super close to diamond. And so she ended up going diamond, and we were a 3-star qual team at that point. And I was like, okay, I just need 2 more diamonds. No big deal, right? No big deal. And I had a girl who started out as a discount coach in March. For some reason in July, like was super nervous, but I ended up asking her to be a part of the sneak peek because I thought she would be a great asset to the coaching world. And she decided to do it. She tuned in, an hour later, watched it, and then started, you know, taking off with the business. She had a really difficult month in September, didn't achieve Success Club or anything. And I thought I was going to lose her, you know, and come October, she was like ready to run, and she had you know, hit great Success Club numbers. She was super close to diamond, and I was like, okay, let's do this, you know, let's do it. And she wanted diamond for herself, but she also wanted to help the team. And so she ended up going diamond at the beginning of November. And then and you know, we talk a lot about our warm market. I did not start off with my warm market. My sister, who is now a coach, she didn't enroll with me until a year after I started doing this coaching business. It took her that long. It took her coming to my house the last day of 80-day obsession, doing a workout with me because she didn't believe in the workout. She was like, no, I'll do my own thing. Then she enrolled with me as a coach, and it took her a year to decide to work the business. And so I had her, you know, hitting diamond and believing in herself, and like, which is so rewarding. But then I had a best friend of mine who is a personal trainer, someone I never thought would even consider this business. She reached out to me after 2.5 years of watching me finally, and was like, I want to do this. And I felt it in my heart. I was like, okay, she's the missing piece. She's the missing piece to all of this. And so I challenged her with getting to diamond. She had no idea what it really meant. She didn't know, you know, anything about anything. And I remember I was going out of town. It was early November, and she had experienced a really unexpected death in her family. And I was like, oh gosh. I was like, you know, ooh, this, like, I hated it for her. I was upset for her, but I was just like, well, this is it, you know, like, this is my last chance. And she wasn't diamond at that point. She was still an emerald coach. And so I was away out of town, and I learned that we had broke the top 200, which again had never happened to me before. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have all the ducks in a row except for this last diamond. And so she ended up, I got back from being out of town. She got back from being out of town, you know, with the death in her family. And she was like, let's do it. She's like, I'm here to help. We're going to do this. And she ended up achieving diamond in 6 days. And, you know, basically just did what I asked her to. And that was just, of course, sharing on social media, but invited and reached out and really thought about anyone and everyone. And we ended up, by the scrape of our teeth, hit 5-star qual on the very last day that you could. And it's just crazy because it's like, it was something that seemed so impossible was now starting to become possible. But it wouldn't have become possible if I wouldn't have just, you know, tried and just got it in my own damn way and just, you know, pushed forward. And, you know, I want to tell y'all though, I was someone who not only was scared of taking risks, but someone who just would rather cheer from afar and like cheer people on. I never thought I had it in me to do anything like this. And, you know, I was so quick to believe in others and inspire them and cheer them on, but like myself, like it was never a priority for me. And it's crazy what happens when you start to even slightly believe, like maybe, just maybe, I have it in myself. So, Allie, what questions do you have? Anything that you want me to
God, I love you so much. And your story is just so powerful. And I think one thing you kind of just skimmed over that was like seriously so impactful, I'm sure for all of my coaches, is like your coach went diamond seriously by just doing what you said to do.
Yeah.
The same thing we tell every single one of our coaches: show up, post on social media, and invite your little tushy off with conviction, and not thinking, oh, well, is this person going to want it? Or is this person going to want it? And that's exactly how Alyssa went diamond. And her 30 days is literally by inviting with conviction. And I think some point we lose that a little bit. I know I have within this journey, and I've lost it. And I will 100%, because it's when we're in our own journey, like you said, 80-day obsession was the game changer for you. Well, that was for your personal business, but having that one diamond and finally getting that one working coach was the game changer in your actual business. And it's like, once we have that one little puzzle piece, it all starts piling on, but you have to do the work to get that one little puzzle piece. And I think it's just so freaking powerful. And I'm sure it was for all of them. Y'all ask your questions in the chat real quick. Anything you want.
I did want to say this too, you know, again, going back to the success thing and just looking at people when they make it, when they get to the top. Last year was by far, and even the last 6 months of the year was the hardest 6 months of my business ever. Okay. Getting to where we ended did not come easy. There were so many tears, so much doubt. I was doubting myself. Like, I just made the biggest mistake. I should not have quit my job. Like, this is proving not to be, you know, what I thought, and, you know, whatever. And it was like, it was tough, you know. And it's funny because it's like, you would think something super successful would be, you know, prettier, but it's not. I cried so much like the last few months of the year, like way more than I ever have. But it would just, looking back, of course, it was so worth it. There were so many lessons. I believe in growing through what you go through and using those lessons that you learned along the way to apply later on. Because now that those 5 ladies witnessed a lot of stuff that like we had to like make sure and maneuver and whatever, that is going to help them when it's time to, you know, work with their own coaches and build their teams and stuff. So yeah, it sucks during the time. I don't recommend waiting until the last minute and doing it through the holidays for a qualification. But, you know, I believe that it all happened for a reason. And so, you know, just keep pushing forward and just keep pushing forward towards the belief, the self-belief. If you don't believe in yourself now, you got to keep going. Keep going. Be consistent. Show up.
That belief thing goes into our first question is, how do you get over the fear of inviting? I've recently started sending messages on Instagram, but I'm always fearful of being told no, which I know it's inevitable, but how do you get over the fear of asking people to join you?
Um, it's so funny because I don't even remember a time where I was so scared of what others thought. Now, one of my first objections with this business, yes, was worrying over what people's thought or people thought. But now it's just like, it's not a no. Like so I was in sales, like I trained and I was in sales and stuff before this. And so I know like it's going to take maybe several no's to get to that yes. I just know that it's a no, but not no forever.
See,
And
like, I was the opposite way. I was freaking petrified because I felt like every no is a direct correlation to me and my character. And they were like, no, like, I don't want to do it with you, but I'll do it with somebody else. When in reality, it never had anything to do with me and everything to do with them and everything to do with they're just not ready yet. Yes. And they can't do this right now. And I always say, if we never give them the opportunity to say no, how are they ever got the opportunity to say yes?
Yeah.
And we're being, I mean this in the nicest way possible, of course, is like, I always find it as like, it's kind of us being selfish if we don't invite them to do this, because it could potentially change their life. Like, it changes our life. And so it's not our obligation to decide if they're going to say yes or no or maybe or whatever the case may be.
I just know that success leaves clues. You guys have probably heard that before, but it's the truth. So if people are telling you, I got here by inviting, that's what happened. Like, I can't tell you enough that even though I put like pretty slides and stuff up in my stories, people are just like, okay, I'm here. I'm here. No, they don't flock to me. I have to actively recruit. Think about this. Okay, you may have heard this too, but I'm going to say it again. You're having a party. So let's say I'm having a party this weekend. And I put it out on social media like, guys, I'm inviting you to be a part of this party. Like, bring your favorite chips and salsa and guacamole and beer and margaritas and all the things. You're invited. Are you going to go to that party? Probably not, because you're going to be like, well, I don't know if she meant for me or not. But if I reach out to you like, hey girl, I'm having this party. I want you to come. I would love for you to be there. Would you be interested in learning more about what the time and the place? You have to invite people. Like, it's not going to come from just a generic invite. Like, if like, I don't know, y'all aren't my coaches, so you probably don't really pay attention, but on my post, I'm not like always publicly inviting. It's very seldom I publicly invite. I do all my inviting behind the scenes, but you have to have credibility behind the invite. And what I mean by that is, if you're not sharing what you're doing on social media and you're all of a sudden just sliding into someone's DMs like, hey girl, want to be a part of this? And they're like, what in the hell are you talking about? What you doing? You have to have credibility behind the invite. So if you don't have any of that, then you're going to be ghosted. You're going to be told no, because they need to see you do it. You need to be the role model. And I'm going to tell you, like I said earlier, it took my best friend 2.5 years to join me, guys. My own sister, it took her a year. A lot of the times people have to see you doing it for a little bit. And there is this thing where it's like, here lately, like, a lot of my enrollments have come from people that have been following me for a while. I don't mean a month, I mean a year. And 6 invites. They finally did it. But I would never have gotten to this point if I wouldn't have continued just to getting over the crappy mindset. And I don't have this like magical thing. Like, obviously you need to be doing personal development, and you need to be fueling your brain. But you have to get over yourself. You have to get over the fact that like Ali said, the ghosting has nothing to do with you as a person. They're just not ready. Or they haven't seen enough to believe. So if you're struggling with believing in yourself, they're gonna know. People are gonna know. They can catch on. They're watching from behind the scenes. The thing I wanted to say about inviting is, if you are scared to invite, you don't believe in this enough. If you are scared to invite, you don't believe in this enough. I'm not scared to invite because I've had programs change my life. Even before 80-Day Obsession. But when I'm telling y'all, 80-Day Obsession changed me. So I believe in it. I believe it works. So I don't care if you ghost me or if you unfollow me or whatever. It's on you, not me. I'm just offering a gift, an opportunity to your solution that you're bitching about. That's the way I look at it. Like, I get so frustrated with people who tell me, no, or they don't have time and this and that. And I'm like, I see you talking about binge watching Netflix. You got time. So it's not me, it's them. And so are they going to get an invite next month? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe next week.
Yeah. I was actually working with one of my coaches today, and I was going through and I was inviting or whatever. And I looked, and this girl I've sent her invites probably every other month since last January, and she still ain't answering.
We just keep sending them. It's almost like a fun game of like, are they ever going to reply? I start sending gifts at that point. Like, I just start sending random gifts. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. And that's the thing. I've learned not to take it personally, because I'm like, I used to, and I will say that I used to be one that took it personally. But you don't get more confident if you don't continue to do it. The more you do it, the more you get told no. It's like, whatever. Okay, next time. You learn how to combat it a little bit better. What I tell people, so if I invited Allie, for example, and she's like, no, I'm not interested. When I replied back to her, I'm going to say, that's totally fine. I understand. I would be more than happy to share more information with you just to see if it would be the right fit or be beneficial for you. Either way, I just really appreciate you taking time out of your day to reply back to me. And that's me. That's who I am. I'm not, sugarcoating anything, but I need them to know they're more than just a sale. Like, I'm not selling them anything. I need them to know, hey, thank you for taking 2 seconds out of your day, because there are some other assholes. I'm sorry if y'all have kids around, that aren't replying back to me. So thank you for at least getting back to me. Like, you can feel the appreciative side of me, because I'm just like, thank you for an answer. Get back to you next time. But what I do, I engage the shit out of them until it's time to invite them again. Because I'm like, let's build these relationships. Let's build this connection. I had enrolled someone. We had connected back in the fall, and her bio had like the warning sign, or like the no sign, and then had MLMs behind it. And I was like, we're going to this. I want to prove to you not all MLMs are equal, right? We connected. She continued to message me. She would comment on the workouts I was doing and just different things like that. She asked me about enrollment, about what all it took. And this was someone who had that in her bio. All we did, I never once invited her. I did that intentionally. I wanted to connect. I wanted to be friends. That's one thing I'm super passionate about, is building relationships. I love building relationships and connecting with people and stuff. So yes, I do send cold invites. I do send invites to people I haven't talked to yet, but there are certain people that I'm strategic with.
And how do you differentiate that?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
You know me, I like the statistics, because I was going to also ask, like, well, how do you know, like, okay, this person's you're going to connect with, and how do you keep up with those connections? Because I know you do not freaking touch Computer Streak or anything like that. And so some of my paper and pen girls might appreciate how disorganized you are, even though it gives me anxiety.
I'm ridiculous. I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. Holly and I are complete. We're a good time together, but I'm not organized. No. So what happens is, like, the more you guys engage with people, the more they show up in your feed. and you're in like up there at the stories. So those first several people, I'm like, those are my people. Now, sometimes they're my coaches or whatever, but like this Molly girl I'm talking about, she was always first because she was commenting to me. And so I was like, commenting, liking stuff. I just, I have a weird memory. I remember things about people. And so there are just things where it's like the more you engage with them, the more they're going to show up. And so the more it triggers my memory, like, yeah, that Leslie girl. So this Leslie girl, she's one of my new coaches in a mentorship I'm running. And she's been enrolled with me for a while, but I challenged them. I was like, go back through your messages and see how I connected with you. See what drew you to finally say yes to me, because they're like, how do I do all this? And, whatever. She had been telling me no for like 7 months. It took her, she's like, Kayla, I'm so sorry. But it's nice for her to see that, because it's like, see this, sometimes you have to invest in people, but her and I would be just going back and forth, on different things and stories and, whatever. Like, I don't have, unfortunately, I don't know how I keep up with people. I just engage. I spend a lot of time engaging. Like, I do power hours with my team. And so the first chunk of time is engaging with your followers, building your following, growing your following and stuff, and just really spending time like getting to know your people. And then we invite.
And so if you're passionate about like she loves, like the 7 in her loves to talk to people, loves to just like do all those things. Me, I'm a 3, so I attract more 3s. And so I'm more like people like that. And that's just a testimony to how different of coaches can be. Like, my people are like, okay, like, let's just get to it. I don't need this like back and forth mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
But her people are like, I need that back and forth mumbo jumbo. I need to know about hair extensions or your nail color, or your makeup or whatever. And then I'll ease into it. Yeah. And so it's just knowing who you're talking to. And shocker, it's usually how you are. And so it's like, how would you have wanted to be approached, or how would you like to be invited? And me, I would have liked, like, okay, just tell me what you want, because I know you want something. She likes to like strike up a conversation and stuff like that. A lot of people are wondering, so like when you are inviting them, they feel like they are not getting any responses, that they're sending quote unquote cold messages. And they're not getting any responses. They're not, people aren't talking to them. They're like, what do you say? Do you use the scripts in the new Coach University? Like, what kind of things do you say that prompt responses when you're inviting?
Okay, so I want to share with you guys this. The way let's see, because we're not really talking, we're texting, I guess you would say. The way that you say things, it's got to spark conversation. You have to use open-ended questions when you finish your sentence, or when you finish your question, or your word. Exactly.
Words are hard.
If you were just like, and my invite is super simple, and I'll read it to you right now. And it may be kind of similar to what y'all have heard, but this is for anybody. I don't care if you're liking my post, you're commenting on my post, you're watching my stories, anything. I say, hey, Allie, I really appreciate you following along my journey. I have enrollment open for my online wellness community, which this should not be a shocker, because I'm sharing it
all the time.
All the time. Okay. I'd love to have you a part of it. Now, if I know it's someone that's super positive, I'm like, I would love to have your positivity part of it. I would love to have your fun vibe, your fun energy, whatever, a part of it. Would you be interested in learning more about everything? That's it. That's all I say. But I want to express the part at the end. Would you be interested in learning more about everything? That's an open-ended question. That's going to get them to talk, at least try to get them to talk. And so that throws the ball into their court, like, okay, I need you to answer type of thing. But if you just said, let me know, no, they're not going to let you know. Or if you say, do you want information? That's a closed-ended question. So think about this. Would you be interested in learning more versus do you want any more information? Think of how different those sound. It makes a difference. Would you want more information about everything? Do you want some information? No, they don't. or they're just going to ghost you. No, I still get ghosted or told no or whatever. But like I said earlier, I'd rather be told no than just lingering. But you have to get them to talk. You have to basically greet them. I'm a big name greeter. I don't like, hey girl. I say, hey girl, but I don't like, hey girl, and whatever, that's just my preference. I like to personalize it because again, that goes back to me and the connections and relationships. So I make sure I spell their name correctly, or you can say, hey friend, or, whatever. But I like to say, thank you for following my journey. Now, if I've invited them before, I switch it up. I say, thank you or I appreciate you continuing to still follow along my journey, or, whatever. Like, I just try to switch it up a little bit. But then you tell them what you're wanting, and you're telling them that you're giving them a compliment. You would love for them to be a part of it because of whatever, I don't know everything about everybody, but that's okay. And then, would you like more information? It's so simple. Don't overthink it. Just keep it simple. And my follow-up, I usually take a follow-up about, if I'm inviting on Instagram, I'll flag and move the message to general and keep everyone else in my primary. That's
you were like how I was at the beginning of my business and how like different I've become now. But like, yeah. I use the flag system until I realized they don't stay flagged. Like, they don't show you the flags up in like to a certain point. And
30 days, I think.
Yes. And then I lost people and I would go into panic attacks, and I lost 3 clients because of my flag system. And I cussed out and cried to my husband, and then I changed it.
Yeah.
So if you guys use the flag system, just know 30 days,
yes,
it disappears. So you have to have a backup system for 30 days, or just kind of like pray that you find them again.
Yeah. I mean, I have gotten so much better about like unflagging if they tell me no, or, whatever, and moving them or whatever. That's just what I currently do. But I do with following up, I follow up within.
It's like whatever works for you. Like, I love that about this business. It's like what works for me isn't what's going to work for Kayla. What works for Kayla isn't what's going to work for Alyssa and Kristen and Jenny and whatever. And so it's just like, pick your poison and do it the way you want to do it, as long as it works for you.
Totally. Now, I do like organization once it gets, I don't like the process. I'm like, can I just have someone do this for me? Like, but my follow-up is just simple. Checking in to see if you got my invitation above. Hope you're having a great week. Checking in to see if you got my message. Hope you're having a great week. Or if they've gotten the part where I always, when I invite and they say yes, I share about the online community first and ask them what their goals are. I don't get into challenge packs and all that stuff. I need to know, here's a little bit about the awesomeness that you're going to get with the community, because a lot of the times people lack support. And so I want to catch them on that. And then it's like, okay, what are your goals? And so we talk about your goals. But if they don't reply to me on the goals thing, I say, checking back in. I'm really excited to learn more about your goals. Hope you're having an awesome day.
Love it. And so how did many invites did you send at the beginning when you were working full time and were really going for these big goals and the achievements? And it doesn't have to be an exact number, because I think a lot of people don't realize, like, people do it differently. And maybe you split, like me, I did quantity over almost quality invites. Like, I didn't do any connections. So I always did at least 40 invites a day. But I know you do connections. So did you split it up that way for those that find that might work better for them?
So I go so back.
I'm like such a strategic person, and you're so not, and I can tell how much this hurts you right now. I'm just kidding. Like, you're like, I don't know the exact numbers. It's just like a roundabout.
I used to get so overwhelmed with the thought of like counting my invites. And really? I'm like, oh, I just would invite maybe for however many minutes or whatever. But in the beginning, I rarely like sent out a mass amount of invites. I think the most amount of invites I've ever sent out in a day has been like 60, like, and that's a good day, and that I'm not,
that's a lot.
Yeah. And that was like maybe a couple of days out of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, I know I should send out more. I'm trying to get better about actually keeping up with it and doing like, power pockets. So it's like 25 here, 25 there, and so on, and just not replying back to me. Just send out all my, invites. That's what I've been working on lately. Because I'm trying to, really level up more with the enrollment side of it. But yeah, guys, I don't know. I would invite. I wouldn't like count. When I felt like stopping, I would stop. I didn't have a number.
And you have to think where are you at in your business right now? And I think that it's all seasons. Like whenever I was pushing for Diamond with her and we were doing the superstar thing in the very beginning, to go Diamond in 7 days, I was inviting 60 people every single day because I was in that push season. Yeah. And then after that push, it turned into like 30. And now I send consistently every day about 40 Monday through Friday. And so it's all about your business is going to ebb and flow and the seasons are going to change. Mm-hmm. And so you have to think, are you really wanting to level up right now in your business? Well, you'll probably need to send more invites.
Right.
Have you not sent any invites and you're really wanting to have a killer next month or the month after, then you really need to level up your invites, because what I think a lot of us think is we send these invites and it's going to be direct correlation to our Success Club points right then. And that's not the case. The invites that we send now are going to be our Success Club points, not this coming up month, but the month after. It's always a month behind. And so that's why I love what Ed Milet says, that, the action that you did 60 to 90 days earlier is what you're reaping right now. Right. So you have to think all the action you're doing right now, you're not going to see the benefits of that till 60 to 90 days. And so that's why we have to always stay consistent with our invites and really acknowledging the season of life we're in right now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like you got to think of this business like a garden. Like you're not going to get the plants and the flowers and all of the things that you're harvesting right then and there. Like it takes time. You have to plant the seed and you have to just water the garden daily. Think about that. You're watering is you showing up and you posting on your stories and you actively inviting. I don't care if you send out 20 invites today. You send out 20 more than you may have anyway, So it's like you have to constantly, it's like the compound effect where the more you're doing daily, the more it's going to compound and add up. And like I said earlier, the people I've enrolled here lately, they're people who've been watching me for a while, who have ghosted me, who have told me no. I'm not having Success Club because I'm just like, they're new people. Like they're not all new people. Like it takes time. It really does. You have to, you're investing, your time in people. I would say unfortunately sometimes, because sometimes they drag their feet and, whatever, but that's just how it is. And you have to realize that. So the day that you let off the gas, that's going to affect you 2 months from now. Or a month from now. If you said, I don't feel like watering this garden of mine.
That's what I'm dealing with right now, because you all know how bad my first trimester was. I mean, I couldn't do hardly anything my entire first trimester. And my business is suffering right now because of what I did then. Now I'm consistent. I'm creating all the systems. I'm doing everything.
You need that reminder, you need that kick in the ass. And that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now too. Not necessarily, I'm dealing with it in a different way, because it's like, I've got to level up for certain things going on in like my family, with my husband's job and stuff. He's had something change, and it's like, I got to level up and make some more. Yeah. And it's just, it is what it is. And, sometimes you got to be woken up. But I saw a question come up. How did you invite 40 to 60 daily when you first started? With only 400 followers, I will run out eventually. So I'm glad you asked.
I love this question.
Yeah. So I invite on both platforms, on Instagram and Facebook, because a lot of times people on Facebook either don't follow me on Instagram, or they do, and they're just not seeing stuff on Instagram, and vice versa. So, when I first started, I had maybe 1,000 followers, but it doesn't matter. quality over quantity. It doesn't matter how many you have. So when you go through it, if you've invited all 400 of your followers, kudos to you, because that's a lot of invites, right? You're going to go back through. You're going to go back through and add more people. But you've got to work on, growing your following and stuff and finding new people. And so that is just going through, your favorite stores or your favorite blogger accounts and things like that, and just adding people in hopes of growing your network. But I feel that it's just, you can't really run out of people, because if they, and I know that's easier said than done. I've been there, trust me. And because right now you may be at this part where you're just like, it's just impossible. Like, how do I do it? And, you're just going to eventually cycle back through those people. I know for me, like are you inviting, who was that who asked me that? Missy. Are you inviting on Facebook too, or is this just on Instagram? Both? Okay. So have you gone through like all of your people on Facebook too? No? Okay. So I know for me, I was always so stuck on Instagram with building my business. I've had more traction here lately on Facebook by inviting like them over there. And so I would just, challenge you to, if you need to take a break from Instagram invites, then go over to Facebook and invite. I've learned, from some of my coaches that that's the more scary place to invite for whatever, reason. But the answer is always no, unless you ask. So you're not going to know if they're interested or if they're not interested unless you ask them. So I just challenge you to, go over there and just invite over there. And I will say I do add Facebook friends often. Like I usually try to do like 20 or 30 a day over on Facebook, because they're more likely to like approve your friend requests and follow you back on Instagram for whatever reason it is. Oh yeah, girl. No, you got to rip off the Band-Aid.
I have never invited one person off of Facebook.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No,
I've never added one person on Facebook, messaged one person on Facebook.
Yeah.
I was always like focused. I'm a person that I have to hone in and really focus on one platform, which is a fault of mine. But like, I always think of inviting as the two bunnies. You guys know 2B mindset, right? Like inviting is the two bunnies, inviting and growing your network, inviting and growing your network. And one does not work without the other, just like veggies most and water first.
Yeah.
And so I always say, if we have a fear we're running out of people, that means we're not adding enough people to our network.
You're right. Yeah.
And so at the beginning, I think I had 600 followers. So I did have more than you did. And I invited every single day, 7 days a week, 60 people, but I made sure that I added 100 people every day. And adding 100 people sounds like a lot, but when I go to like a blogger account and go and follow the people that like photos, it takes me maybe 20 minutes to follow 100 people while I'm sitting there watching TV, and I would be doing that anyways. And so I say just really being intentional with making sure you're adding people, just like you're making sure you're getting your invites. And the fear of running out, by the time we do, it'll be 30 days later and it's time to go around and invite all again anyways. So I think that's more just a limiting belief that we believe. And we kind of like put ourselves back.
Yeah, on Facebook, what the difference with Facebook is, like, I still share what I post on Instagram over there, but I like to share like the things to really show my personality. So if there's something funny over on Facebook, I'll like share it, like a meme or whatever. And I invite those people, because those people are, oh yeah, that's hilarious. Or maybe like, I like the show Ozark on Netflix. And so it showed when it was launching the other day, and I shared it to my page. And like, I got like so much engagement from people who like Ozark, meaning, hey, we're homies, didn't even realize that, so they got an invite. Like, that's a different way to do it. Like, Facebook is just so different. Like, you can still post your post, but like, you can share things like that. And like, when people were responding to it and commenting and stuff, those are your people. That's your tribe. And so it makes it just so much easier to invite them. Because I'm like, if we like the same show, then hi, have you ever thought about joining me? Like, whatever, you know?
That's what I do. But, you know, mine's like Married at First Sight or Florida Bama Shore.
I've been watching. Okay, so we're caught up with season 3, and we decided to go back and watch season 1. Oh my!
A Florida Bama Shore.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, it's so trashy, but it is like the funniest, most
Okay.
redneck show I have ever seen in my
But
entire
you
life.
share it, and people like it, then those are your people to invite. But it's just getting creative, and like Allie said, like something I told my coaches the other day too about like the growing your network. I told them, I said, if you feel that way about inviting, it's time for you to start growing your network. It's time for you to add people. So I need you to focus more on doing that this week than inviting. Follow up with the people you've invited, but you need to focus on building your network so that way you can add more people and you have more people to invite.
But we have to realize, like, and I know like a lot of us will say things like, I'm just so afraid of running out of people, when we're not even close to running out of people.
Totally.
Or we're so afraid of inviting too many people for the future, running out of people, that we let it hold us back right now. And it's that limiting belief, just kind of like, of people saying no, and the limiting belief of people saying no. And so I'd like to challenge everybody, if you are afraid that you're going to run out of people, or if you're afraid, like right now, you have to think, well, have I even invited enough to honestly run out of people? No. Well, then it's not even a fear in my mind right now. Just making sure that we spend at least 30 minutes inviting a day, and at least 30 minutes growing our network a day. And the best thing about growing and adding people, y'all, it literally doesn't even take focus. We can do it while we're doing our favorite things, like watching TV, or, you know, like
on the toilet. You're like taking
exactly, like we scroll and watch people's stories while we take a poop anyways. Why don't we add people to our network instead of scrolling people's stories?
Yeah.
Or while we're cooking dinner and we're watching people's stories while we cook dinner, why don't we work? And I think that's one thing and reason why I've muted everybody on my stories that I even find remotely interesting, that I don't get sucked. Yes, Kayla, you're muted, so that means you're interesting.
You muted me?
I mute everybody. I get sucked into their world, and I love you so much. I get sucked into your world, so I muted you.
Oh,
right along with Shannon Harvey, Brittany, like everybody. But like that just shows, like, and it doesn't hurt her feelings. And the exact same thing, like if you mute me, it's not going to hurt my feelings. But we have to think, what are things that's sucking our time and energy out? And if you don't want to unfollow them to not hurt their feelings, then mute their asses. They don't know.
No, I agree. I will have to say that here lately I've started not like scrolling over coaches' stories.
And they're usually the first ones, because you always watch them and then you know you have a problem.
Yeah. And I do that. And like, and I try not to follow a whole lot of coaches either. And it's totally not out of hatred or anything like that. It's just I'll get sucked in, or I'm trying to find people to build and grow and stuff. And so, you know, Missy, you just said it right there. Like you're that's where you're lacking. Like you're recognizing that you've got to, you know, follow more people and grow your network. And so you fearful of running out of people, but you just were self-aware. You had a self-aware moment right there. And I applaud you for that. You got to realize these things, ladies, and you got to be aware of where you need to work. For me right now, it's invites, because that's just what it is.
Me, it's consistency, believe it or not, because every day in this pregnancy has been like touch and go. And so it's just, and I love that, Kayla. And I know everybody's like, we're running late, but I think this is just
sorry.
No, you're fine. I just know this has been so good. And I really think it's just the kick in the ass some of us need to really wake up and realize that, you know, we haven't been making our business a priority because we're letting the fear of running out of people, the fear of no, the fear of, you know, what people are going to say about me, just all the fears, misconceptions, and bullshit that we create in our head hold us back. And we have to decide, like, I'm going to draw that line. I don't even know why I picked my drink up, but I'm going to draw my line in the sand and say enough is enough. And I think that's for me. And I really think it's powerful right now for us all to say our limiting beliefs out loud. I'll say mine out loud. You guys can say yours out loud while you're muted. But like, I have been letting the pregnancy aspect and me not being, you know, on a journey, quote unquote, and the lack of energy and just how every day is different hold me back from my full potential this 9 months. And that's bullshit. Like, I hold the key to making that not an issue. And so I have to decide that pregnancy is not going to be my reason why not. it's going to be my reason why. And there's no reason my business can't thrive during pregnancy. I don't have to wait till my postpartum journey. So maybe yours is something different. Maybe yours is an illness that you're dealing with that sucks the life out of you. Maybe it's, your kids or your family. We've got to decide that our why nots have got to become our whys. Because if they don't, then this business, sitting on these team calls, like anything that we're telling you is going to mean jack squat, because you're going to get off this call, you're going to go to bed, and you're going to snooze your alarm, and you're going to continue the same bad habits again until you decide that enough is enough. And no, I can't inspire you to do that. Kayla can't inspire you to do that. We can give you so many tangible tips. We can tell you how to do everything. You can hear from all the tip-top coaches in the network, but you're going to hear the exact same thing. We all came to a point where we drew a line in the sand and said, enough is enough. And we've got to stop making excuses for why we're not doing what we're doing and own it, why we're not doing it.
Yeah, I agree. What she said, and that's the thing. It's like, I still battle some of these things, but it's at a different level now, and it's just, what it took to get you to where you are now is not going to be what takes you to the next level. And that's what I had to realize. Jenny, you're welcome. And thanks for muting me too. Jeez.
Kayla, that just means you're doing something right if we all have to mute you. I thrive off of how many people I found that muted me. Especially, not like regular people, like coaches. Like, I don't want regular people to mute me, but like,
no, I need the regular.
I had to mute you. I'm like, that means I'm doing something good. I'm showing up in your feed too much.
That's so funny
and entertaining.
But
guys, also, the successful coaches mute coaches. The successful coaches don't follow other coaches. Yeah. The successful coaches don't know what Ashley Molstead had for breakfast.
Yeah.
The unsuccessful coaches do. So if you know what Kayla had for breakfast, or if you know what I was doing at 4:00 today, you're not working your business when you could be.
No, and that's a valid point, and I just recently started not watching the stories because I know that, like, I have to take a step back and reevaluate what's affecting my day and my productivity and what's keeping me from inviting. One of the things is watching my girlfriend's stories, watching them and seeing what they're doing. And then I start thinking, oh, I like what they did. I'm not doing enough, and it's just, it's a spiral thing. And then the limiting beliefs come in and it's just a crock of crap, and it's nothing against those people. They're doing great, but it's like, it's what up here, like, you just start to think. And guys, I want to leave you with this. I want to say one more thing.
We're just going to keep going. We're going to be an all night.
One more thing. Something that I struggled with, you guys know, Allie has had a tremendous physical transformation. So what has always been something that I've struggled with is the fact that I haven't had this crazy physical transformation to make people go, damn, Gina, like, no, I haven't. But everyone's story is significant. Everyone has a story. Everyone's story is different. Share it. Share more. I'm starting to share more things about my lifestyle, not about health and fitness. I'm sharing these things because, and I start opening more, up about how I've, when I was born with like the clubfoot thing and stuff, and sharing more about that stuff, because
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, that's how
you haven't shared it enough, Kayla.
I'm super self-conscious about my feet. Like, I actually have a post written up about, I'm going to post this at some point this week. But I want to share more of that stuff and like the nitty gritty about the twin mom life and the potty training toddler shit. I share all that stuff because it's like, it's relatable. It's a way for someone to connect with me and trust me. When you build that trust with somebody, they're gonna have trust in you to help them on their physical journey, their wellness journey. Think about one of the biggest things that people struggle with is like weight and dietary things and things like this, that they've got to trust in you just a little bit to share with you their most vulnerable goals and how they feel about themselves. So maybe they're not replying because they don't trust you yet, and that's okay. Gain their trust. Get a little vulnerable. People love it. They want to follow the journey. They don't want to, see the transformation photo right out the gates. That's your first post ever. No, they want to see the journey. They want to see how you got to that after photo. They want to watch where you're going. And you can only do that by showing up daily,
consistently. I love it. Thank you so much, Kayla. And I'm sure all my girls are just like, love you just as much as I do. And I so cannot wait to see how you level up this year. I can't wait to see how all of y'all level up this year, because remember, y'all, and I'm going to leave this at this because it's a limiting belief that I have, that I don't share the same vision with you guys, but like, y'all, we all want you guys, when I asked you who you wanted to hear from and all that, you're like, I want to hear from elite coaches. I want to hear from elite coaches. But to have an elite coach, you have to have diamonds under them. That means you have to have people that are showing up and doing the things and stuff like that. And that starts with y'all.
Yeah.
And so you have to realize, like, this, becoming an elite coach for her was not an I thing. It was a we thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what we all have been trying to do, as a we. And so we have to realize that it all starts with us leveling up, and it's a trickle effect, right? And so just remember that it's a choice to show up. It's a choice to not show up. And both of them are hard, because one, if you don't show up, your life stays completely the same, in the same fucked up place that you are. And then if you choose to show up, then your life can completely change in an instant, in an amazing way. So both are hard. Both you have to do uncomfortable things. And I just challenge you to choose the hard that makes you level up versus the hard that makes you stay the same. And so I love y'all. Thank you for sticking around with us for an hour and a half. I really hope you got some tangible tips, and I really hope that, going into Team Cup, that this is really what you need to remind yourself that it's time to stop bullshitting, and it's time to draw the line in the sand, and it's time to do the activities daily, not just after a call when you feel motivated to, but when you feel determined to. All right, I love you guys, and I hope all of y'all have an amazing night. Thank you so much again, Kayla. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.